What he's talking about on that engine change is they changed engines after the practice session on Thursday. No penalty for that. That was kind of a free day for him.
Only one car did not qualify for tonight's race. That was the 07 of Danny Eflin. No cars are going to be going to the rear, and the pace car is going to be about ready to turn off and come down pit road. And the field will come down led by Kevin Harvick, followed by Clint Boyer, Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. All 6 are prior winners here at Richmond. The 900th race in the NASCAR Nationwide Series is now green. Great start by Harvick as he takes the early lead down the backstretch. Clint Boyer right behind him. Here comes Keselowski.
Yeah, and Boyer made a nice run on the outside. These guys really haven't been up in that part of the racetrack, so I'm not sure they knew what to expect, but it worked good for Boyer.
Kyle Busch falls in, or I should say Denny Hamlin falls into the 4th spot. Kyle is right on the side door on the 60 of Carl Edwards.
Everybody kind of lined up on the bottom, so if he wants to make a move to the front, he's going to have to try something else, so he's working the outside.
It's not going to be hard to pick Kyle's car out tonight.
No, he's got a nice paint job there, nice uniform to go with it. He said he'd be more than happy to take all those pictures for his 11th win this season in that uniform and with that car.
And, of course, that would break the single-season win record mark if he can pull that off tonight. Still side by side with Carl.
Yeah, we've always seen this racetrack be at least 2 grooves and sometimes 3 and 4 grooves wide. So it's nice to be able to see somebody like Kyle up on that outside being really competitive and possibly making this pass on Carl Edwards.
Down into 1 and 2 again, still side by side between those two. Take a look a little bit ahead. Denny Hamlin trying to stick his nose underneath.
Kyle got a good bite right through the middle of the corner there. Made the pass.
And Denny does pick up 3rd place on Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, you can see Brad, he wasn't wanting to be on that outside, so he kind of let Denny go this point in time of the race. Fell back in behind.
It's pretty much single file till we get back here to where it's 3 wide. There's Reed Sorensen, Joe Nemechek in the 87 as well. Jeremy Clements in that mix. Here comes Kyle Busch now as he has gotten past Carl Edwards. He's trying to go under the 22.
Well, Kyle, spoke with Kyle yesterday a little bit. I went in on a conversation with he and Kevin Harvick, and he wasn't extremely happy with the way his car was handling around here, but that's just Kyle. He was trying to get it perfect, and it looks like they've made some improvement because he's certainly going forward right now.
Let's take a look at the action going on both sides of the track now. Reed Sorensen and Joe Nemechek have their hands full. A little bit further back there with the 16 of Eric Darnell, and that paint scheme obviously looks an awful lot like Greg Biffle.
Yeah, Jeremy Clement doing a great job working the outside of Darnell in that 04 car.
What a big night it would be for him after not qualifying last week at Atlanta. Right behind them is the 62 you saw there for a moment. On the right side of your screen, the battle for 4th continues between Keselowski and Busch.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Joe Nemechek. He had a good qualifying effort. Looks like he got a pretty competitive car tonight, and it'd be nice to see him have a good, solid effort.
Okay, here, looks like Carl Edwards going to try to give Kyle Busch a little help up the backstretch. It's like that low line's been kind of tough. You saw Kyle Busch make that move on Carl Edwards on the outside, but now he can't seem to make that pass on the inside for the 22 car.
And I think we heard Denny Hamlin talk about that very thing in the countdown show. With these cars, they have 200 less horsepower than what the Cup cars do, so it's going to make passing a lot more difficult on this racetrack.
Kyle now trying down low again. Brad seems to like that second line. He's run that pretty much since the start.
Yeah, you can keep the momentum up. That's the RPMs that we're talking about, and that allows you to carry that through the corner a little better.
All right, so while they're duking it out for 4th, 5th, and 6th, Kevin Harvick, as we move forward, has opened up a 0.4 of a second lead over Clint Boyer. Denny Hamlin is close behind in 3rd. Under our first caution here at the Virginia 529 College Savings 250, we had some very tight racing, as deep as 18th place in the field between the 62 of Brendan Gaughan and the 04 Jeremy Clements.
Well, this is coming off of turn 4. You see Jeremy Clements down on the inside, gets loose, almost gets into Eric Darnell in the 16 car, which everybody kind of got through that, but they just got down into turn 1. It got a little more difficult.
Yeah, looks like Brendan Gaughan kind of stuffs it down in there, maybe gets a little loose, gets up in the left rear corner of Jeremy Clements, but Clements kind of pays the price. He makes contact with the wall. I think he can keep going, but he's got some damage on that left rear they need to get fixed.
And Jeremy brings it in. We can also tell you that Kevin LePage is the first car that has pulled behind the wall here at Richmond. What a view here at Richmond after 15 laps, just about ready to end our first caution. Mike Bliss got the lucky dog, but he has pulled it behind the wall, as did Derek Cope. And we're back to green flag racing with Harvick, Boyer, Hamlin, Keselowski.
It looks like Boyer's got a run on the outside. Harvick didn't give him much room there off of turn 2.
Harvick's going to try it again. Now he thinks better of it, pulls in behind.
Yeah, right behind.
Action again between the 60 of Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. Trevor Bayne looking on as he did before the caution.
Yeah, role kind of reversed here. It was Kyle Busch on the high side that went around Carl Edwards earlier in the race. See, Denny Hamlin was there in the 3rd spot trying to hold off Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski's going to try that high line. It's going to work, too.
Brad's going to take over the 3rd spot. Move Denny back to 4th. Kyle Busch 5th. And then Carl Edwards 6th. A little further back, there's some 2-wide racing as well, as now everything sort of has calmed down up front, at least for the moment, with Kevin Harvick again assuming control. He's led all 18 laps so far.
Yeah, you see Kyle's really wanting to work that high side. You can see just about a half a lane up, higher than what his teammate Denny Hamlin is. He's really trying to get some rubber down and make that work.
Our in-race reporter,
3 wide.
Stephen Wallace. We're going to go 3 wide. The 49 of Mark Green was the sandwich.
Speaking of making it work, they did somehow. 3 wide around here is a little bit risky at times.
Joe Nemechek and Stephen continued their side-by-side battle, at least for a moment. There's Ryan Truex in the 00 right behind them. And look out, here we go again. No, it won't make 4, guys. Michael Annett in the 15. Tony Raines there in the 34. There's Elliott Sadler looking down from high above. Let's check on the battle of 2nd place. It's Boyer, it's got it, and it's Keselowski who wants it.
Well, that's what's going to make for a great finish before this night is over, is being able to run fast on both of these groups. But you can see that you can get your car hooked up on that higher line and keep the RPMs up. You can make a pass.
Here goes Keselowski on the high side. Clint says, okay, go ahead.
That's just pretty much of a power move for somebody that wasn't sure exactly what they had in their car with Brad Keselowski, who we heard talk about that earlier on.
Parker Kligerman in the 26. Justin Allgaier right behind him. And then there's Jason Leffler in that mix as well. So that is 9th, 10th, and 11th on the track. And boy, this 38 car needs to have some luck. They have had 11 DNFs this year.
I think if I was Jason Leffler, I'd have stuck a number 10 somewhere on the side of that thing just to try to fool that car.
All right, Brendan Gaughan is back out there, and here is Jeremy Clements. Those two are side by side. Any retaliation from Jeremy?
I've been watching these guys. They've raced pretty clean since the restart. Trying to come through the pack, though. They've passed a lot of cars.
On board from Brendan there, and you can see he's trying to open up a little gap. He's got the 70 of Shelby Howard right in front of him. Yeah. Check back in because the battle again is getting good between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Carl's able to make that bottom side. He's been working that quite a bit and was able to go by Kyle Busch. You see Denny Hamlin still on the bottom side. Carl's kind of bottom and then able to roll through the center and move on.
How about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6th? First time we've seen him tonight. He's taking a peek underneath the 32 of Reed Sorensen.
Ricky Stenhouse is really, he had a lot of problems early on this year. You see the 7 car of Eric Almirola trying to go to the inside, but Stenhouse has really done a nice job as he's gotten more used to driving these cars and racing these type racetracks and racing against the other drivers.
Yeah, he had 5 DNFs for crashes in his first 12 starts, 0 in his last 11. That backs up your point.
See Stephen Wallace there coming on. He's made a nice move up to the 16th spot already.
Here we go again with Kyle and Carl. These two are really making a routine of this right now for the last few laps. And Kyle finally gets around him.
Initial throttle is not bad, but the more I get into the gas and develop speed exit, it gets loose out by the wall. I'll take credit for teaching the 22, the outside.
And Kyle Busch is learning this car like everybody else in the field, but they do feel like they have an advantage because they run the Cup car, and there are some similarities here. You hear him giving feedback as much as he can, saying he's getting loose when he's up on the wall, guys. But the 18 so far, so good.
And right now he is 3.3 seconds behind our race leader, Kevin Harvick. As you go right there with Brad Keselowski and Clint Boyer, they're nose to tail. That is for second.
Yeah, you see Boyer's fought back now to the inside. Keselowski's, he's kind of stayed married to that top side, but Clint's really trying to get underneath. Going back to that comment about Kyle Busch and what Jamie was talking about there, loose on exit, especially a late exit, it's what you fight here a lot. If you get your car turning in the center of the corner, then you can get loose up off. But Doc, what are they saying about this 21 car?
Well, DJ, Clint Boyer said the car is just very loose in and loose off. And before the crew chief, Danny Stockman, could answer him, Richard Childress came on the radio and he said, hey, Clint, dial as much front brake in that car as you can stand. Get all that front brake in and get some heat there in that right front. It'll help cure the problem. That was about 7 laps ago, and now Clint starting to move back in on that 22.
Well, that's a situation that you have to be a little bit careful with because you use a lot of brakes. As we'll see, the rotors glow really red here on a lot of these cars because you use a lot of brakes, especially down into turn 1. So you dial that front brake in. You just have to be careful not to get too much brake heat there, Andy. You might blow that right front tire out.
Well, that's one thing I heard Rusty Wallace say the tail end of the countdown show was that the right front tires are really, this track's really hard on them, okay? And you put all that brake heat up there, and we've seen a lot of failures with right front tires.
One battle we're looking at right here is Ryan Newman. He started 12th, and he has dropped all the way back, and he's under attack right now. And this is for 20th on the racetrack with Tony Raines and Michael Annett. Big surprise here.
He's really fallen back. And on the other battle we just saw there where Clint Boyer took back over that second spot, that front brake must have helped that car.
Vince, you've got more on the one?
Well, and Ryan Newman wasn't completely pleased with that car in practice, and he said it's been even worse here in the earlier stages of the race. Very loose off, chattering the tires more than practice. He said that was an issue that they dealt with throughout practice, having it and then some here tonight in the early stages.